score points tonight.
To get tased.
Banter level, keeping heavy tonight.
I'd like to taste
You gotta be tough. You have to have a thick skin in this Premier League. You can dish it out, but you better be able to take it as well.
No comment there from Phil.
There's a little needle coming out. That's pretty standard for Roland. He likes to needle people quite a bit.
Yeah, he's good at it, isn't he?
Friends.
Sometimes.
Friendly pot.
Very friendly for now.
This should be slightly interesting.
Check. 3,000. Cool.
What's Annette's plan here?
Depends on what turn card rolls off. The turn card's a 2. She's probably planning on calling at least one more time and then deciding the river.
Check.
On her jack, we'll see. She's got a little bit of a tough decision if Roland bets.
Roland was very tight early on in his first time, and I think he really believes in it, but
8,000.
nice question he's asking. Roland, I mean, maybe the last money he's intending to put in the pot.
If that's the case, then I don't like it.
Oh, so he's got to have to fire the third bullet?
No, I didn't say that, but I think there's a decent amount of cards I would bet on. Obviously, the queen would be one of them.
Check.
And what size bet do you think could get paid off? But with Annette's range that he might, you know, can he put her on a
If I was in Roland's spot, I think I'd bet about 19 or 20,000. We'll see what he does. Obviously, I'd expect Annette to fold if I knew she had King 7.
19,000.
I'm confused.
She says she's confused, and I mean, it's because she would look at the queen and think that this card...
It's actually a card where you might think if Roland had a 10 or a jack that he wouldn't bet because of it, yet he would bluff more if he had hand like ace 8, king 8, something like that. Obviously the standard play in that spot is going to be to fold usually, but I definitely don't hate a call in her shoes.
If I do it three times, the most I could lose like 100-some thousand.
Roland takes the pot, and that pushes him just into the chip lead.
Give you more motivation.
Roland the Wolf is in a league of his own when it comes to side betting. No one needs more action than this man. The first person to win both EPT and WPT titles, he was last year's Premier League runner-up.
I think I'm the best player in the world at rock, paper, scissors. I really do. If anyone sees me out there and they want to play, you know, just come up to me. If you want to play rock, paper, scissors, I will beat you. And it is a real game of skill. I'm so relaxed about stuff, and like I don't need to prove myself, but it feels like that Phil needs to prove himself over and over again. And Tony, we always laugh at Tony because I don't think that Tony belongs in this company. He doesn't belong here. He doesn't have the same poker skills of, you know, 8 or 9 of the other players here. Phil's just delusional. You know, he's obsessed with certain celebrities. He sort of follows them around. He's obsessed with his own importance. He's very, very insecure. He's got a hell of a lot of problems. And against good players, time and again, he hasn't been able to do it. And that's been the way through his whole career. And that's why he won't go down as a great against the top players.
Still in the first level here.
He's very insulted by poker.
And I think Roland's got chirping chips.
Do you know what I'm talking about? He's like nothing. He said
everybody else just kind of letting him talk at it. Raise here from Helmut up to 6,000.
And he said, in Russia, this biggest
quick
insult you can say
call
to
from Nenad.
You lose head.
G with the pair in the small blind will be 3 ways for the flop.
I fought Tony 2 times. You do not say this to Russian man.
That's a Russian accent, I
Maybe
think. From the Wolf.
London is different. But in Russia you don't say. Where's Kravchenko?
Nice flop for Phil. But he's not going to love it if he gets action.
11,000.
Now this would be a tricky little spot for either of them to raise. Looks like Nanad's thinking about doing that.
And what would the reason be for raising? He's got Tony G behind him. Is it because he knows that Helmuth, you know, folds, it makes good laydowns, or?
Well, I mean, it looks like a pretty strong spot to raise, and it's tough for someone to continue without a good hand.
Raise. 10,000 more, 29 total.
It's obviously a tricky spot. You can't do it too much, but Nanad's got a pretty tight image, and it's a aggressive, tricky play here, and Helmuth's going to have a really tough decision when it gets back to him. And even if he calls, Nanad has quite a few cards he could hit where he either has the best hand or gets the bluff and probably win the pot.
I mean, it's very reasonable for Nanad to have a sort of an overpair here, 7s or 8s or something. So does Helmuth have to make kind of?
And he could also have a 9, obviously. It's a very, very tricky spot for Phil.
He says he's the best in the world at looking into people's souls. This would be a great spot for that.
I personally know that Nanad thinks Phil's a little bit too tight, and he's going to use his tight image a little bit versus Phil, but it's obviously hard for Phil to know that.
I had you beat.
The table's hotting up and tensions rising. It's going to be Phil Helmuth who hits boiling point first.
I mean, you're really trying hard to be entertaining, but my God. It wasn't until this trip that I realized just how bad some of the great players are. Tony G, what list are you on? In the top 500 in the world. You're good at telling people to ride bikes. Get on your bike.
Welcome back to Party Poker Premier League Poker. It's 10 points for first place and 0 points for first out
might not
in
be
this
the best
league
week to
format.
bluff me.
You're playing well.
Some weeks I'm not really as bluffable.
I understand.
Yes.
I understand.
But you know, maybe
Helmuth
they're not
down to
just bluffing.
64,000.
Yes.
And here's blind on blind again.
Hard
Over
increment.
start rolling.
Now I would raise a net here,
6,000
hand here, and she did.
I would have found out if I raised.
Oh, I wouldn't raise it if I knew he had jacks, though.
It's the difference. I can call you if you raise.
And what do you what line is Roland going to take here?
A net only has 70,000, so I would make it about 16,000.
Cool.
But
We'll all find out.
Roland likes to slow play here. I don't
I understand.
really approve of his decision. I think I would make it 16,000 with a decent amount of hands. Obviously, my pretty good hands being some of them. Now, this is a really good flop for a net to bet. I'm sure Roland won't be folding, but if I was in a net spot, I would plan on betting. Again, if she checks here,
Stand.
then it becomes increasingly likely that
Not for you. It was
she has a really good beat on Roland.
Yeah.
But apparently this time her radar was a little off.
She thought about it. I was like,
I mean, I would bet this
What do
flop
I do now?
almost every single time in her shoes, so I would need some really strong read not to.
Now there's 28,000 in there.
And look for a net to win the pot. I think it's fine in her shoes to just open shove and go all in, to bet something like 16,000, or to check and raise. And I would expect that she'll plan on doing one of those 3 options.
14,000.
It's great. I mean, she's not somebody who makes a lot of two-barrel bluffs. Or, I mean, obviously she's capable of it. Why did she need to make it there? What were the factors? I mean,
well, if Roland doesn't have a king in his hand, it's very tough for him to continue. Net could have picked up a queen on the turn. She could have hit a king on the flop, or she could have a monster hand.
shows how much I'm paying attention.
early in this horse race, all about keeping your cool as the
Pass.
banter levels go up, the needles fly. There's a man who takes it in stride.
Call. Call. Call.
We've got Tony G just limping in this hand with the
Nice.
ace-5 up front, and that's coming behind on the button. King-9. And here's Helmuth. He just looks miserable, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does look pretty unhappy there. I think someone flopped 2 pair, right?
Yeah,
Check.
Yeah,
no,
Roland.
that's got top pair.
Check. Check.
I would definitely be betting this flop in Roland's shoes.
5,000.
Just with everyone's stack sizes, I don't think it's a great spot to go for a check raise.
Call. Call. Pass.
And I mean, if it comes